We spoke earlier on about Millwall parting company with manager Gary Rowett. Reportedly, it was done by mutual consent. Let's find out a bit more. Gary, good morning.
Morning, guys. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks, Gary. How are you? Because I've been down to the Den on numerous occasions. You and I have chatted a lot, and you know you had high hopes for this football club under your tenure, under your guidance. What happened?
Yeah, I think I've had 4 brilliant years there, and there's been a lot of things, that have happened over that 4 years. But I think that the club's a brilliant club. It's a unique club. I think that anyone would testify, having gone down to the Den and sampled the atmosphere. And you know what? We came so close 4 times, for 4 years. And it's a difficult division. It's a difficult challenge for any club, any manager, when you're trying to punch above your weight a little bit. But I've had a fantastic time, Jim. And if I'm being honest, I think it just felt the right time. As a manager, as a club, it just feels like it needs something a little bit different. And I think that was kind of fundamental to the decision. So it was a mutual thing. I know sometimes people say, he's been sacked, and that's how they put it out, but it genuinely was. I spoke to the chairman last night. I've got a good relationship with everyone at the club, and it was nice actually to end amicably, which I think was the way that we all wanted it, rather than a different way that happens so often.
Well, as you know, Gary, the man beside me owned a football club, and you've just said to me in the last commercial break, regards Gary and Millwall, no, this was mutual. Your reading of it.
Well, I would feel, Gary, that by the very nature of you coming on today so quickly after the event, that there was an element of this was likely to be mutual. And that there was a scenario where you were free to talk, because often if you're not in a situation where there's any real conflict, or if you are in a situation of conflict, then someone's not going to want to talk. But why now, Gary? I mean, obviously people will link it to the tragic passing of the owner and relationships being different. Is there anything in that scenario, or is it just it's run its course?
Yeah, I just think it was the latter, really. I had a brilliant relationship with John, and obviously I came to the club partly because of John. And I think for everybody at the football club, it's very different and feels different, and that's going to have its effect on all the key people at the football club. But I've also got a really good relationship with James. I spoke to him last night. We had a really good chat, and it genuinely, from my point of view, I've been away from home for 4 years. It's not easy to do, when you've got an 11-year-old when you leave and he's now 15. I mean, that's going to bring its own challenges, I'm sure. But it just felt the right time. And I think sometimes when it feels the right time, every person, every manager has a way, they have a choice of the way that they wanted to do it. My choice was I wanted it to be amicable. I wanted to be able to walk away and shake everyone's hand and thank everyone. And I think sometimes, that's the better way to do it, and have an honest conversation.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but a lot of people in football will wait to an opportunity where the relationship goes sour, get fired and get paid out. You may be privy to this, you may not be privy to it, because a lot of it's background noise. I had a dim view of you in the past, and didn't feel and felt that some of the times you got some of the things you precisely deserved by moving between clubs and getting the bullet relatively quickly. But my view has changed as I've watched you over the last 4 years at Millwall, and the reason why I say that is because I was surprised yesterday, irrespective of where you are. 9, 10, 11, 12 games into a championship season where it's less than 25 or just over 25% of the season, being 3 points off a playoff spot is not a bad space to be in. And I was surprised to see you go. And I think, quite frankly, whether my opinion's worth anything, I think it's been a useful period for you for 4 years. I think people, certainly, background noise like me, view it differently and view you differently. And I think that will stand you in good stead for when you decide to go back in again.
No, Simon, look, I appreciate that. And I was privy to your comments previously, but look, I understand it. And if I'm being honest, probably when I set out, I was probably too ambitious for my own good in some ways. And in a way, you make decisions, you do certain things as a younger manager. I think as I've sort of become a bit more experienced, you understand that, building something, staying somewhere, trying to create good relationships and doing it in a certain way are also just as important as that kind of ambition to get to where you want to get to quickly. So And look, I think I'd love to stand here and say I got Millwall promoted. I'd love to stand here and say I got Millwall in the top 6. But I think coming close at so many different clubs with different resources and different budgets, I think it's success of its own. Everyone else decides and defines what that success looks like. But, I'm proud of the work we've done. I'm proud of the way it's all ended. And genuinely, I'll try and help the club moving forward if they ever need it. So yeah.
So, Gary, I look at it. You managed at Burton, Birmingham, Derby, Stoke, Millwall. What is next? Is it a spell out and then back, or do you carry on as of now, if you can?
Well, I've got a marathon to run Sunday, so that's
Good
my
boy.
first.
Well done.
So I won't be seeing you on the South Bank for a wee while.
I know, I regularly see you, mate. You're pounding the streets.
I know, you keep thinking it's fans shouting it. Yeah, I said that before, but you realise it was me. And then I've got my kids want me to go skiing with them, I think, around December, which I'm sure they'll be keen for me to laugh, or keen to laugh at me on the slopes, I'm sure. So it's things like that you can't do when you're doing the day-to-day stuff. But look, like to do a bit more media work, so I always love that. And then I'm sure at some point, if the right thing comes along, then I'll be back out there. So yeah, look, no rush. Looking forward to a little bit of a break. But it's like anything. It's an addiction, isn't it? And we all love it, and we're all passionate about the sport, and whatever comes.
Gary, just before you go, it's just struck me to ask you: do you see Millwall as a Premier League club anytime soon?
I think there's a really good base there. I think the club's made a lot of advancements on and off the pitch. I think last season we had something like 4 or 5 of the biggest attendances the club have had. So I think there's clearly a positive direction the club's moving in. I think this gives an opportunity to do something slightly different, maybe. Obviously, what they choose to do is up to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a genuine opportunity. Listen, you've seen clubs get out of the Championship and have a go in the Prem. The next challenge, getting out is one thing. Staying in there, as you can see.
Exactly. Here's one.
I was going to ask you, Gary. Obviously, with my relationship with Millwall, being a former Palace owner, was always a slightly tenuous one. And my mate owned it for a while, so I had some affection for it. But recently this week, we've seen situations with Millwall where there's situations that are resulting in them being consequenced by the FA. Do you still think, as the former Millwall manager, that this stigma about Millwall, this perception of them as a football club with the moniker that no one likes us sort of mentality, does that still exist at Millwall? Has it moved on a long way past that?
I think as well as I do, Simon, when you're on the inside, everyone has a perception on the outside that's very easy to attach certain things to certain clubs. I think when you're on the inside, you realise what great work the club does in the community. Yep. You realise what fantastic work the club does within the football community as well. And like I said, the club's very different on the outside to other people think on the outside. And that's probably the best way of saying it. It is a brilliant, brilliant club. Whenever there's an issue with another club, the Millwall fans...
All right, don't stretch the credibility with brilliant, Gary.
Sorry, mate. Keep going.
Gary, listen, any which way, we wish you well, and you're always welcome in here. You know that.
Fabulous. Top man. Cheers, guys.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.